Today, we're going to be covering Fortnite's top 10 myths from the most recent update, version 19.2. Now, in this update, we got an absolute crap ton of stuff. So, in this breakdown, we're going to be looking at the top 10 myths about all of those new items, POIs, and NPCs. We got a lot of stuff jam-packed in today's video, so let's jump into our first myth. Starting it off with an interesting one, we've got, can Gunner fight his IO allies? Now, this one is a bit of an interesting question, because in the past, we have seen NPCs that have been able to damage their allies, even though they are on their team.
I'm dying, help me.
But in this update, he might be a bit different. Gunner is an interesting NPC due to the fact that he's from a Chapter 2 POI, basically just moved into Chapter 3.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Obviously, Covert Canyon is just the Grotto V2, so let's actually go ahead and test this out. Now, once I got down there and I started playing around with him, trying to get him to shoot his allies, it was obvious that he was doing no damage to them. The IO guards down at Covert Canyon are immune to Gunner, the NPC boss's damage. So this myth has actually been disproved. Gunner cannot fight his IO allies and will not be able to team kill. Unlike a lot of us want to when our teammates are doing a little bit of trolling in squads. Now, the next myth that we have is, does Gunner use a defaulty boy glider? Now, this one sounds a little bit weird, but as you guys know, there are a ton of gliders in Fortnite. But there is obviously always going to be some people that only have the default glider.
All around me are familiar faces.
In the past, NPCs have only used this glider, but there have been certain ones that have their own special gliders. So, when Gunner redeploys his parachute, is this glider a specialized one, or does he actually just have the defaulty boy glider? Basically, I went down to his lair, I took him to his evil little swirling vent of air, and I made him go right up it. And fortunately enough for us, it is proving to us that this guy is not a real boss because he is a defaulty boy at heart. He, in fact, does have a defaulty boy glider. This is our first myth that has been confirmed, and we can now move on to the next one, knowing that we've already got one proven under our belts. Next up, we're going to be asking yet another question about Gunner. I promise we're gonna get away from him in a second. This question is if Gunner can kill a Klombo. The immediate response is probably going to be no from everyone. These guys are the best things in the game. But hey, Gunner literally has a mythic SMG. Now, during my trials and tribulations of this, it turns out that Gunner really just refuses to leave where he lives. I mean, this guy does not want to budge. So eventually, I had to end up just killing him and testing it out myself. Now, as we all know, Gunner does the exact same amount of damage, whether it's him using the SMG or you using the SMG. So I took matters into my own hands, and I went over to the nearest Klombo. Now, fortunately enough, this does not work, and thank goodness that this myth has been disproved. I would not want to see Klombo dying, because do remember, Fortnite warned us that if Klombo ever ends up dying, we will actually see the destruction of Tilted Towers. Next up, we've got a bit of a different one. And this one, it may or may not have been a little bit of a glitch that I found while exploring the world of Fortnite. But this question is, can you knock over the Foundation statue? That sounds really weird, and it sounds literally impossible. That thing is so tall, but somehow you can actually do it. Now, Fortnite has already disabled this thing from the game, so if you're watching this video right now, unfortunately, you cannot go and try this on your own. Basically, what I did is I took some of those tires and I threw them right at the Foundation's leg. Apparently, he likes to jump on them, and the statue went springing away. Now, once this thing actually jumps, you can walk on it, you can interact with it. It is really glitchy, and sometimes it will just phase out of existence for a few seconds. But this is a really cool glitch that literally just allows you to knock over an entire statue. The next myth that we have goes back over to Covert Canyon, and this one is actually about the blades in the air shaft. Now, as you guys probably know, this air shaft looks extremely dangerous, and it makes a very loud noise when you are going near it. So I had to try it out. I had to see if you could possibly damage yourself by hitting these blades in the air shaft.
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed
up.
Thankfully, you cannot, and this myth has been disproved. You cannot actually damage yourself with the blades in the air shaft. Next up, we've got a question we've been waiting for a hot minute here. Can a heavy shotgun actually penetrate Klombo's armor? Now, as you guys know, the heavy shotgun is one of the coolest weapons in the game because in the past, you used to actually be able to do collateral damage with it. That means that if you killed one player right in front of you, the bullet would continue traveling to the guy behind it. So today, I had to test. Will this actually work with Klombo's armor? As we know, he only takes 1 point of damage from all sources. So what I did is I went on in game and I tried to shoot the good old Klombo with the heavy shotgun. Unfortunately enough, this myth has been disproved, or I guess fortunately enough, because we don't want to see these guys die. Come on, guys. They are literally the cutest thing that Fortnite has ever added to the game.
There's a misinput. Calm down! You calm the f*** down!
Now, moving on to our next myth, we've got an interesting one here. So, now that we know that we can actually flip over the foundation statue with tires, can we flip over a Klombos with tires? Now, this one is obviously going to be a little bit difficult because of how much these things weigh. That being said, if the statue didn't weigh more than a Klombo, I do not know what will. So, let's go ahead and try this out. All I need to do is throw it at his feet. And unfortunately, as you guys can see right there, this does not actually work. And that is due to the fact that the glitch that is in the game only worked on props. And the Klombo is obviously not a prop. This thing is a living being. So unfortunately, it will not actually work on these guys, but it will still work on the foundation statue. Now, of course, by the time you're watching this, it's probably been patched, but still a worthy thing to test out.
Do you honestly think you're f***ing funny? Seriously.
Next up, we have a bit of an interesting one. Can Gunner ride on zip lines? As you guys may have noticed by now, there's actually a zip line dead in the center of Covert Canyon. So I was wondering, can this guy just hop on the zip line and travel back and forth across the canyon? Because that would be a really cool mechanic. And fortunately enough, Epic Games must have read my mind because Gunner can, in fact, ride on one of these zip lines. It is extremely cool because he can just travel back and forth. Now, this will be annoying if you're being chased by Gunner. Hopefully, you're able to take him out before he actually catches you. Yet again, we're going back to Gunner, and this myth is actually about something that he has in his abilities. He has this really cool dash attack. Now, this dash attack seems to be quite unstoppable. He goes straight ahead and punches everything in his path. So my question was, can this dash attack actually one-shot a reinforced metal wall? Will he do 2,500 damage with this dash? Because that would be absolutely insane. Now, thankfully for enough, if we're ever boxed up, he will not be able to actually one-shot your wall. So thankfully, this myth has been disproved and you are not able to get one-shot by Gunner whenever he's dash attacking around you. Now, going back to a previous topic that I was talking about, can heavy shotguns do extra damage to reinforced walls? This is an interesting question because heavy shotguns, while they are a very long-ranged weapon, they in the past, like I mentioned earlier, have actually been able to penetrate through multiple people. Does this mean that they will be able to penetrate the armor of a reinforced metal wall? Unfortunately, though, this is not true, and the one shot on these shotguns will not be happening anytime soon, and these things actually take quite a few shots to break even just a wooden wall, let alone a reinforced metal wall. Now, for this myth, we're going to be testing out whether the heavy shotgun has a larger range than the Gunner's Stinger SMG. That's right, the mythic SMG versus a shotgun. There should be no way that the shotgun has a longer range than the SMG. Now, what I did here is I set up a tally system so that we know exactly how many tiles away from these walls we actually are. Now, basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to count back a bunch of tiles, and then we're going to obviously start shooting with the weapons. So let's start off with our standard striker pump. It's not the two that we're comparing, but I want to show you guys how crazy this really is. Now, we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles, and let's just try it from here. And as you guys can see there, it still actually does manage to damage the wall. So that's 5, then 6, 7. Let's just go to 8 tiles. Now, at 8 tiles, we are no longer able to do damage to the wall. Let's see if it works at 7. It doesn't even work at 7. So the furthest you're gonna be is not even 6. The furthest you can do is 5 tiles with a standard striker pump shotgun. Now let's actually compare this to the other weapons. Now for this one, we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's start at 13. I know this sounds insane, but we're gonna try it out here. And as you guys can see, as I aim down sights on this wall, we're gonna press that good old left click button, and it still does damage to the wall. How is this possible? So let's go back yet another tile, and here we are on 14 tiles. Now, for reference here, that is insane because the shotgun, like we saw earlier, was only 5. Now, let's actually see if this does damage to the wall, and as you guys can see there, it's still damaging the wall. Now, 15, this would be absolutely absurd if it hit. And unfortunately, this shotgun does actually cap out at a 14 tile range. So if you're in a fight, now you know that this is a 14 tile range. But we're still here to answer one question. What is the range of the Gunner's Stinger SMG? We know that this is 15 tiles back, so let's try and actually check this out and see if this will break the wall. And unfortunately, it does actually have a larger range than the shotgun. I really wanted the SMG to have a shorter range than the shotgun, but technically it kind of does. The shotgun has a larger range because it actually has much less fall-off damage than the SMG does. So in a sense, the shotgun does kind of have a longer range. So this myth is semi-busted, but it's also semi-true. This is a little bit of the gray area that we're now getting into. Now, the final myth that we have is, will wolves fight Klombo? Now, while this one is not specific to this update, and the wolves definitely did not get added in this past update, nor did Klombo, it is still a very interesting one, and that's why I threw it in the bonus category. When you actually go ahead and test this out, the wolves will continuously attack Klombo. They hate this guy, but Klombo is kind of just chilling there. Now, once you actually attack Klombo and get him into his angered state, then he'll actually start to whack back at the wolves. But until that point, he'll just kind of be chilling and doing his own thing, even though the wolves are trying to beat him up. So this has been the top 10 myths from Fortnite's newest update, version 19.2. Now, if you guys actually did enjoy this video, then make sure to leave a like on it. Make sure to leave a comment down below what your favorite myth was. And if you guys want to see any other myths actually get busted in the future, leave your ideas in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Gummy Yoshi. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next one.